So I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Alex Hose. She's the head of STEM for the BIEA. She's a lifelong educator, and she has done so many things. I did list them in one of our previous events, and it just took about half an hour.
Kind of shift every year. We go between massive ideas like extinction and biodiversity to much smaller projects like food packaging. And so, of course, last year was a fairly big one, which was a massive city thing. And so this year we've gone small, and we've gone personal, and we've gone to our clothes. Now, just to point out, I spent quite a lot of time looking at flags. But last year, in 2023, those were the teams that got into the final basically came from everywhere. And that's something that BIEA really prides itself on. It's not just the kind of the individualistic, let's look at what's going on in our classroom and what's going on in our town. What we like is we want people to look at their classroom and look at their town and then compare that with somewhere else, far, far away. And what we love is the fact that we get children, and I have to say children because some of them are 6, and miniature adults, comparing their work with somebody else across the other side of the planet. And they both face the same challenge and they both ask the same questions, but the answers that they sometimes come back with are completely different. So this year, I've got Threads of Tomorrow, it's Threads of the Future, I do apologise, but we are trying to raise awareness of fashion. And whether that's the school uniform that you wear, or that's any kind of uniform that you wear, or whether it's something that you want to create for your community, what we're wanting the children to do is to really look at the clothes that they're wearing and see that the impact of what they wear has on the environment. So again, it's relevant to everyone. We try very hard to make our competitions relevant to everyone. And in the context of our competition, it does follow the same format pretty much every year. We're training children to think about researching a problem. So they have a question, and it's looking at the information that's out there that they might not be aware of. So thank you very much for all the references that have come through and the kind of the ideas that have come through today. So that's the starting point for this competition. We want them to research about their clothes in their community, in their country, and how their clothes might impact their environment. And this is the beginning of the kind of finding out stage. And then they ask themselves the question, how can they change things? Now, we've obviously learned all about problems with sustainability, so I'm very, very aware that I'm going to use that umbrella term, and there is some meaning to it, because I think that if children are coming up with the idea of sustainable clothing, they are considering the impact that their clothing they already have makes. So once they've basically thought about the problems that the clothes that they wear, what we want the children to do is to then consider how they could make it better. Now, we're not promising that they can fix everything, but what we really want them to do is to think about the possible solutions, because the solutions that they have on one side of the planet, we want them to then look at the solutions that came the other side of the planet. So they're always submitted as a bit of artwork. We do like a bit of art, I do like a bit of drawing. I can't draw myself, so I love it when people submit beautiful drawings. And again, this is both STEM and design, because as an ex-physicist, labels are everything. A science diagram, as every person that's ever been in a science classroom needs to be labelled. Okay, so very pretty pictures, but really the STEM bit comes through as well. And then finally, the creativity, which we want people to we want the children to basically actually design their idea. Now, I'm aware that some people will want to make full-scale person clothes, but I'm also aware that there will be other people somewhere on the planet who haven't got access to those kind of resources. And so we accept scale models, doll clothes if you like. The idea is what we want, not the actual kind of catwalk material. And we want the children this year to deliver their ideas to their community, to show and to share the problem, because clothes applies to all of us, and then to share their solution. And so we're hoping that's a kind of slightly new bit of our competition this year. We're hoping that to sharing those ideas, they're going to get across the idea that actually, let's think about what we wear, and maybe let's maybe wear, I wouldn't say wear less, but wear more times. Kind of got to be careful here, haven't I? Okay. And then once again, at some point later on the year, we all reunite and we have a dissemination where we share those ideas. And again, we love it when people appear in person, but we learned from the COVID years that actually we can do this online as well. And the more that we share it both online and in person, the more people find out about it, and the more people talk about it, and the more people think about it. And that's ultimately what BIEA wants to do. And